Hey there, I'm Frank Mitchell. On this channel, it's all about helping you understand your car and keeping it running the way it should. Whether it's routine maintenance or solving those tricky problems, I've got you covered. If you find this useful, give the video a like, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to watch till the end. You might learn something that saves you time and money. All right, let's get started.
After more than a century of using purely thermal cars, only with a combustion engine, consumers in developed countries are experiencing an accelerated transition to cars with some degree of electrification, such as plug-in hybrids. However, the average customer has many doubts about how they work. The truth is that it is more complex, since it combines the properties of a traditional car with those of an electric car, but not impossible to understand. In CarWow we explain it simply and briefly, as well as its advantages and disadvantages. Operation. A plug-in hybrid car has three main elements connected to each other: a heat engine, an electric motor, and a battery that powers the second one. The battery is an energy accumulator that is recharged by an external source of electricity through a cable and a plug. There are several types for different power and charging speeds, two variables that depend, in turn, on the type of charger. In a car with PHEV technology, it is located in the lower part of the vehicle, usually under the rear seat bench or under the trunk floor. They are usually lithium and very heavy, about 10 times more than the fuel needed to travel the same distance. Their capacity is generally measured in kilowatt-hour, kilowatts per hour. The electric motor is smaller and lighter than any combustion engine, as well as much more efficient. It turns very fast, at double or triple the number of revolutions per minute than a gasoline or diesel engine, and a gearbox is not necessary to regulate the energy that comes out of it and transmit it to the road. However, they are sometimes coupled to the same gearbox, always automated and never manual, as the thermal engine. As they operate with very high voltages, there are a large number of electronic components around this engine that manage its correct work. Even so, its volume is reduced. Its power is generally measured in HP, horsepower. The heat engine is a traditional propellant that can run on gasoline or diesel. In conventional use, this engine, despite being the main and most powerful one in a plug-in hybrid car, is only activated when the battery energy is depleted and cannot feed the electric motor, or when the driver needs more performance and presses the accelerator pedal harder, so that both engines work together. If we consider that 90% of the users of this type of car travel less than 50 kilometers per day for more than 300 days a year, and that this distance can be covered in electric mode up to highway speeds, the fact that this engine works is strange and occasional. They do not usually exceed 2 liters of displacement, and their power is also measured in HP, horsepower. Driving. As the way of driving a plug-in hybrid car is practically the same as driving a 100% thermal car, as the driver demands speed with the accelerator, the electric motor increases revolutions to move the wheels faster, so it needs more energy, which comes from the battery. The battery discharges more or less quickly based on this fact, on the orography, on wind resistance, on the weight of the people and luggage on board, among other factors. However, this electricity can potentially be regenerated or recovered during deceleration, as is the case in non-plug-in hybrid vehicles. When the battery is depleted, the combustion engine switches on and allows use as in a traditional car. It is also activated when, even if sufficient electric power is available, the driver requires the combined performance of the two engines, e.g., during overtaking, sporty driving, a climb up a mountain pass with a steep positive gradient, or merging onto a freeway. It should be noted that plug-in hybrid cars accelerate faster at the same power-to-weight ratio, as they offer instant maximum torque from 0 RPM thanks to the support of the electric motor. In other words, they are more reactive, and the user has to graduate more smoothly and carefully the movements of his right foot. This is also true for the brake pedal, since the first part of its travel usually uses mechanical components for energy regeneration. And only with more intensity or pressure is it possible to compress the calipers against the disc. The manufacturer can offer all-wheel drive in this class of cars by installing a motor on each axle, with the electric motor usually at the rear and the thermal motor at the front. There are also models with 3 motors, a thermal and an electric motor at the front with a second electric motor at the rear. In this case, the same battery powers both electric motors. Pros and cons. The purchase cost of plug-in hybrid cars is generally higher than that of fully thermal cars, but lower than that of fully electric cars. This will cease to be the case in the medium term and, in the meantime, their maintenance cost is lower. In addition, they emit hardly any sound and do not generate local pollutant emissions. They can do so, indirectly, during their manufacture. In electric operation mode. If they have more than 40 kilometers of electric autonomy, they benefit from a large number of tax and mobility advantages. For example, they are not subject to registration tax, are exempt from up to 75% of road tax, can park on the street for free or move without restrictions in specific episodes of high pollution. Unlike electric cars, recharging the battery of a plug-in hybrid car is as simple in theory as it is in practice, since this process is usually carried out at home overnight. The time needed to recover autonomy is much longer than with a thermal car. An average tank is filled in 1 minute while charging. An average PHEV battery to 80% can take a few hours. On the other hand, the availability of chargers on public roads is deficient in our country, but let's remember that these cars allow us to drive with a thermal engine that is powered by a fuel that we can find at any service station to continue on our way ipso facto. In conclusion, plug-in hybrid cars offer a unique blend of electric and gasoline power, making them an appealing choice for many drivers. They operate by combining an electric motor with a traditional internal combustion engine, allowing for greater flexibility and efficiency. The advantages include reduced emissions, potential cost savings on fuel, and the ability to drive on electric power alone for shorter distances. However, there are also disadvantages to consider, such as the higher initial purchase price and the need for charging infrastructure. Ultimately, understanding how plug-in hybrids work can help you make an informed decision about whether this type of vehicle is right for you. Thank you for watching, and we hope this video has clarified the workings and benefits of plug-in hybrid cars.